All right, we start tonight with another stinging setback for the special counsel, Robert Mueller. President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, is saying tonight Robert Mueller will not seek a presidential indictment. Now, it's obvious why Mueller won't even try, because, as we've been telling you, he never had a legal leg to stand on. Now, DOJ guidelines clearly state that a sitting president cannot be indicted. Not to mention Mueller doesn't have a reason to even do so in the first place. Mueller has zero evidence of collusion, has only been focused on the so-called thought crimes of the president, and it's not a crime to have thoughts. Rudy Giuliani also reacting to tomorrow being the one-year anniversary of Mueller's corrupt investigation. Here is part of his interview. Will air tonight with Laura Ingraham. Take a look at this.
What is your optimal timeline for this to wrap up?
They should do it today. I mean, as soon as possible. I think that they have the facts from which they can write their report. If you're going to write a fair report, fine, write it. If you're going to write an unfair report, write it, and we will combat it. We're ready to rip it apart.
The former New York City mayor, he's right about this. He also told our own Laura Ingraham about the damage that this investigation is doing to this country. And here's what he said.
When you look at all the main flashpoints, the Trump Tower meeting, the Stormy Daniels payment, the raid on Manafort, the raid on Cohen, is there any one part of that that concerns you more than other parts of that?
Yeah, their inability to reach a conclusion that is obvious, and their unwillingness to recognize the damage this does to our country all over the world. This was engineered by Comey.
We're going to have much more on this in just a minute with Joe DeGeneva, our own Greg Jarrett, and Laura's full interview with Rudy Giuliani airs tonight right after this program. But first, on the foreign policy front tonight, President Trump, he's not blinking in the standoff with Kim Jong-un and North Korea. Now, remember, Kim Jong-un is now trying to act tough. His ego's been bruised. He's threatening to withdraw from the summit in Singapore. North Korea is also saying that denuclearization will not be on the table. Yeah? Well, President Trump responded by stating directly that his peace through strength policies continues. Take a look.
Can the Korean summit be salvaged?
We haven't been notified at all. We'll have to see. We haven't seen anything. We haven't heard anything. We will see what happens. Whatever it is.
Well, obviously, the liberal media in a frenzy over this development, because think about it, for them to succeed is for the president to fail. For the Democrats to succeed is for the country to fail. But the president is standing firm on denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And National Security Advisor John Bolton is also saying this is just part of the game that North Korea always plays, except unlike Clinton, we're not trying to bribe the guy.
The question is whether this really is a sign that they're not taking our objective of denuclearization seriously. You know, Kim Jong-un told South Korean President Moon Jae-in at their April the 27 inter-Korean summit that he agreed to denuclearization. And so if they're walking back from it, we'll find out. I think Sarah Sanders said this morning pretty much what the president's thinking is if they're ready to meet, we're ready to meet. If they're not ready to meet, then they won't meet.
And we have the 3 hostages back. He's not firing missiles. He crossed the DMZ. Okay, so far a win. Now what's happening here is the policy of trust but verify. President Trump, he's not giving up anything with North Korea, which is why he keeps saying, well, we'll see what happens. Now, Kim Jong-un, well, he's the one that has made every concession. He gave up the hostages. We didn't have to appease him with a plane load of cash and other currencies or $150 billion like Obama did with Iran. So the ball is in Kim Jong-un's court. He wants to talk. He wants a deal. He wants a better life for his people. President Trump's ready to listen. North Korea will not be allowed to threaten the world and build nuclear weapons. That's a fact. And the president, he's made it crystal clear. All right, we're also getting clarity on another major story tonight. Remember how for the past year, the left-wing media, the Democrats, promising that Trump Tower meeting was somehow the big smoking gun of Russia collusion? Okay, tonight, in spite of media reports, we now have the evidence it was a total dud. Now, the Senate Judiciary Committee, they released thousands of pages of the testimony, several key players at the meeting. The main takeaway is this. They all thought it was a waste of their time. They were talking about adoption, the Maginski Act. No dirt on Hillary Clinton came through. And by the way, if it did, it wouldn't be illegal, and we'll explain that tonight. Now, from all accounts, this meeting quickly went off the rails, eventually focused in on topics like Russian adoption and Russian adoption. It's a nothing burger. And the media, they've been hyping this as a cruise missile that was going to take down the Trump administration. Donald Trump Jr., he testified he was skeptical going into the meeting and that his suspicions were quickly justified. And Donald Trump Jr. also said that his father, President Trump, had nothing at all to do with it in any way, shape, matter, or form. And despite all of this wild and false speculation, it's nothing. The Trump Tower meeting isn't the only breaking news story that actually is embarrassing to the destroy Trump media. New York Times, now this is an amazing story. They hate President Trump. They're now basically tonight confirming everything we have been telling you regarding the biggest abuse scandal in the history of the country. Now, it's not a mea culpa from the liberal New York Times. Frankly, it was inadvertent, which is probably why the so-called paper of record, they're kind of playing cleanup. Now, this was their original headline today. This is pretty amazing. A secret mission, a code name, and anxiety inside the early days of the FBI's Trump investigation. Well, they changed the headline. Code name Crossfire Hurricane, the secret origins of the Trump administration. Great to know somebody in the FBI likes the Rolling Stones. Okay, why would they change it? Let me explain what happened in this article. It's a long article. The Times explains how the FBI opened a top-secret, completely unconventional operation into the Trump campaign, by the way, only days after they rigged the investigation into Hillary, and the same exact players. Now, the details were closely guarded by FBI officials. This all happened days, just days, after the same people put the fix in with the exoneration before investigation of Hillary Clinton, rigging it knowing she committed felonies and obstruction of justice. In other words, everything we've been exposing. So to break it down this way, in the summer of 2016, the FBI sends agents to London. They interview an Australian diplomat, Alexander Downer. The Times describes this interview as, quote, diplomatic protocol, highly unusual. Now, remember, Downer's the guy that got drunk one night with some guy, and I thought I knew everybody in the Trump campaign, George Papadopoulos. Never heard of him. The Trump advisor, nobody heard of. And during that night out, while they're drinking, they apparently gossiped like, I guess, mean girls about so-called dirt on Hillary Clinton. Downer then alerted the Australian intelligence agency, who then told their U.S. counterparts. 1, 2, 3, four-way hearsay. Now, this is massive. The Times is confirming that the FBI used four-way hearsay to launch an investigation, just like we've been telling you on the program. By the way, their timeline doesn't match up, and hearsay is never admissible, never mind four-way hearsay, in a court of law. So what the New York Times is proving is we've been right the entire time, and in the process of trying to cover up for their deep state friends and making excuses, they're actually exposing them. The Times and the rest of the media have been trying to get ahead of what is a massive scandal and protect the likes of Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Lynch and Page and everyone else. But they can't, because the facts, the evidence, the truth is finally coming out. And we have been promising you this, and so far what we've been uncovering is only the beginning. This is going to get a lot worse for all of these deep state actors before it ever gets better. Take a look at the side of your screen. James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Loretta Lynch, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, all at the center of this massive scandal. Comey's a liar and a leaker and probably broke the law in multiple ways. McCabe lied under oath multiple times. He could be facing criminal charges. Loretta Lynch, she tried to compromise the Clinton email investigation to get Comey to say it's not an investigation, it's only a matter. Then you have the FBI anti-Trump lovebirds, Strzok and Page. They routinely abuse the president verbally, attacking him in their text messages. And Strzok's fingerprints are all over everything. Now, we'll have more on that in just a second. Now, we have another big story for us to tell you about. The DOJ's attempt to stonewall, obstruct Congress from ever seeing over 1.2 million documents about the Clinton email server investigation and the Russia witch hunt, which should be coming to an end. Congressman Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, Ron DeSantis, they're now asking the president to use his executive authority, instruct the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, who should be doing it on his own, to immediately turn over all documents that Congress has subpoenaed and has a constitutional right, co-equal branches of government, and a right to oversight and separation of powers. It is insane. It is unfair to you, the American people, that it has come to this, as Congress has the constitutional authority as part of their checks and balances. Rod Rosenstein, he has been concealing information and then needlessly redacting key parts of these things in the name of national security that gets proven later not to have anything to do with national security. Rosenstein claims that, but it's not true. We've seen this lie play out. It's about protecting all of his friends. And meanwhile, he is conflicted from the very beginning of all this. And, by the way, was a no-show for a closed-door hearing with the Senate Intelligence Committee today. I wonder why. Now, several Obama administration officials, they were quoted, but Comey dodged the entire thing. That's telling. Think about this. Congressman Jordan and DeSantis will join us in a few minutes. All right, one more thing tonight. A major follow-up on the former Obama official who at one point voted for the communist for president. This is how this man ever became the CIA director is breathtaking to me, John Brennan. Paul Sperry reporting that Brennan, who has repeatedly threatened President Trump, stay tuned, Mr. President, is now being exposed yet again as a liar, this time by his former colleagues. Now, last May, the former CIA director testified under oath the dossier didn't factor into the intelligence community's assessment of Russia election meddling. We've got the tape to prove it. Take a look.
Do you know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications, petitions, pleadings?
I have no awareness.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
Mike Rogers and James Clapper are contradicting Brennan and saying that, yes, the dossier did play a role into what American intelligence agencies concluded, just like the Nunes memo and just like the Grassley-Graham memo. And on top of all of that, Sperry is reporting that Brennan handpicked Trump hater Peter Strzok to help work on this report. The same guy who put the fix in for Hillary and the same guy who trashed President Trump and text message after text message, and then a few days after exonerating and rigging the Hillary investigation, launches an investigation into Donald Trump. This deep state is one huge, giant, incestuous, corrupt swamp. And the more we learn that Peter Strzok is involved, his dirty fingerprints are over everything. Why does this guy even still have a job?